Hello and welcome everyone to the Corgi Town USA podcast. I'm Candy. I'm a hot mess today, so bear with us. This is Chuckles. He's never a hot mess, or at least he doesn't think so, but he's the president of the Corgi committee.
And I'm Catherine, and I'm mommy to Digby and the executive producer of this podcast.
Yeah, and Digby's the chair of the Corgi committee.
Digby is, in fact, the chair of the Corgi committee. He is playing with his new friend. So I don't know that we're going to have him on screen today. He's got his new buddy, and we have a room full of 2 corgis and an Australian cattle dog. Wiggin is the Australian cattle dog. He is adorable.
Wiggin's precious.
He also known as a blue heeler, and yes, he is a very precious baby. So
yeah, he's a sweetheart.
That's who we've got going on. And then let's on with the show.
Yeah, so on with the show. So today, our guest, we're going to be talking to Laura Russell. And you all out there in the Corgiverse listening and viewing know her from 3 Crazy Corgis on Instagram. And she has 4 now, actually, which I know what that's like. I've had 4 at once, and I'm about to have 4 again. So anyone who is now catching this podcast and you know me, surprise, there's a new baby on the way.
There's a new, yes. You are holding the pregnancy weight down. You look adorable. You look so cute in those little corgi maternity outfits.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, it showed up on the ultrasound. It's a boy.
It's a boy.
So yeah. So anyway, I've had as many as 4 at once. I'm gonna have 4 again. So I'm looking forward to hearing Laura's experience with having 4. And one thing I can tell you for sure is you spend all of your free time vacuuming.
Yes.
All of it. That's all. What do you do for fun? I vacuum. Yeah.
I vacuum.
That's what we do. I vacuum.
I had no idea until I had my own little corgi. Yeah. And now all I'm doing is vacuuming. I had 2 cats. I've had 3 cats. Didn't do nearly the vacuuming of one.
I warned you.
Corgi. Yeah, but you also stuck him in my purse when I was at your house and sent me home with him. So there was that.
Legit. That is what happened on record.
Legit. It was Digby. Everybody knows the story. Was being fostered by Candy, and I said, "Oh, Digby loves me," and she goes, "Good, take him home." No hesitation.
It wasn't that easy.
No, we did a lot of trial and error.
And I miss him, but he's here. He's here all the time.
All the time.
We're here all the time, and he's at our house. So, anyhow, we want to talk about the paparazzi as well.
Yes.
We talk about the paparazzi a lot here on the podcast. And anyone who's had a corgi, if you are going to get a corgi, thinking about getting a corgi, or you're new to corgidom, welcome. You will now be famous because you cannot go anywhere without someone saying, "Oh my gosh, you have a corgi." Yeah. So Kat is new to that as well. So without further ado, should we bring on Laura?
We absolutely should bring on our guest.
Okay. So I'm excited. I believe Buttercup is going to join us.
Buttercup is joining us. Let me just go ahead and add Laura to the stream. Hi, Laura.
Welcome. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining, and I'm so excited to see you and Buttercup.
Yes, but we're excited to be here.
So let's talk about, one of my favorite questions to always ask our guests is, how did you get started with corgis? What made you fall in love with the breed? So please tell us how you got started.
We had never heard of corgis before. About 10 years ago, we were vacationing in Florida, and every afternoon it would rain. So we would go into town and click-clack around in little stores, and there was an antique shop that had a little corgi coworker in there, and his name was Spencer. And every afternoon for that week's long vacation, we would go visit this adorable little boy. And we just fell in love with the breed. We did a lot of research. We had a dachshund who had died right before we went on vacation, and it was so difficult. And my husband said, no more dogs. It was just so heartbreaking to lose her.
I'm sorry.
And then
the hardest thing.
It is. And then we met Spencer, and 2 years later, after a lot of research and careful consideration, we got our first corgi, and that's Peanut, and he'll be 8 in May. So we went from no more dogs to 4. So corgis have that effect.
They do. I always say the OCD, obsessive corgi disorder, is real.
It's real, yeah.
Straight up.
And happy early birthday to Peanut.
Yes, I'll let him know you said that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like, so I also raise chickens, eggs only, So they're all named. And there's something called chicken math. And
Okay.
chicken math is you don't get a chicken, you have to get two, but really what you want is three in case the two don't get along. Then there's that triangular getting along thing. So once you have the three chickens and you start getting eggs, then every once in a while one of them won't lay an egg or two of them won't lay an egg. You need a backup chicken, and then you got to get two more chickens because you can't just get one more to the flock because the flock has already established itself. So you've got the two more chickens with these three chickens over here, because sometimes they'll mix and sometimes they won't, but at least these two will keep each other Yeah, it's called chicken math. It's like Corgi math. It's like
Corgi, they're in the same math book, yes.
They're in the same math book, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
new math.
I was today years old when I learned about chicken math.
Yes.
Me too, but since we already have the Corgi math going on, I think we can go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. It makes
logical.
Yeah, at a certain point, I'll just quit counting. I'll be like 1, 30, 2, 3. Yeah, they're all here. So we want to hear about your corgis for sure. Let's start with your special needs babies. Yes. And am I to understand about Buttercup's condition? It was a ruptured disc.
Yes. So she is 3 years old. She was 3 years old at the time. Always passed all of her yearly physical exams with flying colors. One thing we had noticed about her after a long game of fetch, sometimes she would struggle a little bit to get up, but it was just like for a second, like nothing. We weren't alarmed. We just figured she was tired or pulled something, and it didn't happen every time she exercised. But one night, in the middle of the night, she sleeps with one of my children. We have 4 children. She's sleeping with a teenager. And she had used Buttercup had used the bathroom in the bed. And that was so not like Buttercup. And my daughter went to scoop her up and noticed her legs were hanging.
How scary.
So, very scary. We contacted the vet and they said, go right to the pet emergency room. And that's where they diagnosed a ruptured disc. And they said, you can put her down or you can do surgery. And there was no question surgery was happening. And she was in surgery within the hour. They were able, when she went into surgery, she had 0 deep pain response in her back legs. She couldn't feel her back legs at all. They cleaned up the disc rupture. Coming out of surgery, still had 0 deep pain response. And she also could not feel her bladder anymore. So after a few days of recovery, they sent her home with us. We had to learn how to express her bladder several times a day. And a month into her recovery, they felt like she was getting a little bit of feeling back. So she was a good candidate for physical therapy. So we started intense physical therapy, 3 days a week, water treadmill, laser, acupuncture, range of motion. We had a really great rehab center. But 3 months into that, she was regaining feeling, but her hips were making strange sounds. She was starting to move her legs in the water treadmill. So they wanted to do extensive x-rays on her hips. What they found was incredibly severe hip dysplasia. It had gone undiagnosed. She was young and she wasn't showing any real signs other than the occasional lifting up. So
I have a hip dysplasia Corgi as well. My hammer has hip dysplasia.
So that's what they think. The vet thinks that hip dysplasia, she said it was the worst she's seen in her long career. That's what helped contribute to the disc rupture. So Buttercup regained feeling in her back legs. When she's moving in her wheelchair, she'll move them. But because of the hip dysplasia, and because she's already down, surgery is not an option for her. So our best course of action was to have her be in a wheelchair when she wants to play outside. She'll also never regain her bladder. So we do have to express her, that comes with a whole other set of challenges, medical challenges, in that dogs who cannot urinate on their own are more prone to urinary tract infections. So we are on D-mannose and other cranberry type of supplements. We have to culture her urine every few months to make sure we don't have a UTI. So, but it's completely worth it. In this August, it'll mark 3 years since her going down. And we have since, she's become a therapy dog. And prior to COVID, she and I used to go to a nursing home every week and visit with friends there. And that brought us so much joy. We're waiting to go back into that with Therapy Dogs International. But so caring for her has just been a blessing. It was devastating when it happened, but it's brought us so much joy and meaning to be able to care for her, and for her in turn to care for others and be an example of just keep on moving. Even when life gives you lemons, you can make the best lemonade you can.
Exactly.
Well, bless her little paws, and bless you for doing all that work and caring so much. I have a Hammer, one of my rescues. He is 10. He'll be 10. And he had, we found out by accident, he is the sweetest, most docile, just precious little man. But you try to cut his nails and you have awakened Cujo.
Yes.
And I had 4 Corgis before him, and so I was not new to this. So
Right.
you know that for it to be hard for me to cut his nails and not be able to do that with success was not because of lack of experience. So I ended up having to take him to the vet, and when they went to cut his nails, he rolled away from them and had a limp, which was very scary. That's what they told me. I was not back there with them, so I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it could have been any number of things, because I did say, be careful. He writhes, and it's just a scary situation. So anyhow, they did X-rays for us, and they said, he's got very bad hip dysplasia. And with Hammer, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise. His limp cleared up. He had just pulled something, so no injury during that kerfluffle. But he ended up having this severe hip dysplasia. Right. So we had the surgery on the one side. The scary part is, quote unquote, from the vet, that other side can go anytime because he's got it bad in both sides.
Yeah.
But we do hydrotherapy in the summer, and he loves it. We go out and I throw the toy and he'll swim back, and that keeps those hip muscles in good shape.
Yeah.
And when it's too cold to swim, we do a lot of walking. He's not a very active one. He's not one of these really active Corgis like
mine,
like Chucky and Digby. Yeah, but we do a lot of walking in the winter. So
yes,
let's talk about Boots as well. Boots found you, from what I understand.
Yes, we have a Corgi friend. You know, the Corgi community. We make good friends in the Corgi community, and I made a good friend whose pup is also a special needs pup, who is a therapy dog, and she and I chat a lot. And she had a friend who had a litter of Corgis, and one Corgi was born with special paws. Could you hand me Boots? And we did not. I'm sorry. Say again.
I said, let's see Boots.
Yes.
Give me your Bobo.
Aw.
You could bring him on this side if you want to take care Buttercup down. Give me your Bobo. Oh,
look at that sweet baby.
You see his little arms?
He's a little T-Rex Corgi.
He is. I know, Bobo. I know. He's 6 months old, so he's very wiggly. So anyway, woo, Boots. Okay.
Welcome to the Corgi Town podcast, where Corgi run the town.
That's exactly. Boots, come here. Come to mommy, honey. So I had this friend, and we just happened to be chatting, and she said, I have this, would you know of anybody who would be looking to take on a special needs dog? She said, Boots's mama wanted Boots to go to a family who was accustomed to special needs dogs, and who would be willing to possibly train Boots to become a therapy dog. And I was like, us, because having cared for Buttercup, my husband and I often discuss that we would like to take on special needs animals in the future. Hold on. corgi hair in my throat.
We're very aware.
I'm going to have my husband get me some water.
We're used to that. Sneeze,
Yes.
cough, gag, eyeball.
Girl, it's a whole thing. So anyway, we did a lot of, we knew that this is something we wanted to do in the future. We just didn't anticipate it currently in our life, but we really talked about it. We got in touch with Boots' owner, lovely, awesome woman. And I'm so grateful she had this vision for Boots to become a therapy dog. And we became friends, and she said, yes, I would love for Boots to enter your family. So we felt so blessed to be able to have this opportunity with this little guy. And congratulations also on your pending Corgi.
Thank you. They keep finding me.
So yeah, we get it. So yeah, Boots kind of found us, and we're really excited. And I'm hoping he will become a therapy dog one day as well.
Look at that sweet face.
Yeah,
In the meanwhile, with wheelchairs, with corgis or with any dog, you can have back wheelchairs, but front wheelchairs, which Boots will get eventually, they're very specially designed because every dog that has a special needs in the front, it has to be really custom designed to them and to their bodies.
Right.
So, hold on.
Corgi fur in the throat.
Corgi fur in the throat. So Buttercup she is in Eddie's Wheels, which is a wonderful manufacturer for wheelchairs for animals, dogs, cats, birds. So he will eventually get an Eddie's Wheels, but right now there's not a wheelchair for puppies, for front puppies that will grow with dogs. So I reached out to our local university, UNC, University of North Carolina in Charlotte, and I went to their engineering department and I said, here's our situation. Would your students like to try and invent a puppy front wheelchair that can expand and grow up and out for Boots? So until he becomes an adult, when he can be fitted with his full-time chair. So they took on the challenge, and hopefully we'll be doing our first fitting coming up shortly in a week or two. They've been working on it for a few months.
Wow. Yeah. What a
Yeah.
And it's a great project for the students as well.
It is. We're really excited. We're really excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah,
So-
I'll be looking forward to that. We may have to have you back on to look at,
What it looks like,
what
yeah.
that looks like. Yes.
Super. Yes.
Okay, so
that's our adventure with Boots. But unlike Buttercup, I mean, Boots, he is a completely, everything else functions with him.
Right.
His organs. So it's just a matter. Right now, potty training is a little bit of a challenge, whereas a puppy can go to the door. Like we do a bell system where the dogs ring the bell and they go out. Well, not Buttercup anymore. She can't feel, but the other three. But with Boots, with puppies and their teeny tiny bladders, it's a little more of a challenge because when they think, oh, I've got to go to train them to go to the door, they just run fast. Boots can't run fast. He can't move quickly. He can move quickly, but not sometimes with a little puppy bladder. It's like, oh, I have to go. Oh, here we go. So potty training's been a little bit of a challenge for our big guy, but we're working on it.
So as you're waiting for the wheelchair to be manufactured, how does Boots get around? Does Boots just kind of scoot?
He hops. He has very powerful back legs, and he's able to articulate. Here, Boots up. So he's able to kind of army crawl his little way around. When he's in the grass, he just hops and hops and hops, and he's like a little bunny. So he can get where he needs to go. Yes, you can. So
he's very ever ready.
He is.
Ever ready bunny.
He is.
I lost my microphone there, so everybody bear with me. Sorry about that. You see me over here shuffling. Well, thank you so much for caring about Boots and being willing to step forward and take care of such a sweet little baby.
Oh, it's exciting for us. Again, we felt so honored and blessed that his original, the home where he was born into, allowed us to raise him. It was a very thoughtful process, and we feel very blessed.
Well, what's the timeline on the wheelchair? Do you know about when to expect that, or is it just kind of, since it's in design, have no idea?
We don't know. It's in design. We were supposed to go for a fitting last week, but the dormitory where the engineering students are had to be tested for COVID, so we had to postpone our first fitting. So hopefully that'll come up within the next week or two. And so once we do our first fitting, they'll go back and make adjustments as needed. And then, but yeah, so if this is something that can happen, I mean, there's nothing else like it on the market right now. So the students could potentially patent that. And, but it's been really wonderful working with them.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Well, I can't wait to see what happens with that. And please keep us posted. We'd love to have you back on and to kind of showcase Boots and his new Hot Wheels. I'm sure that'll be a process training Boots to get used to it and get used to a new way of movement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
with
running around.
With Buttercup, it was so quick. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Like we put her in her wheelchair, we took her outside. She went down in August, and her wheelchair came in October. And we put her in the grass, and my husband threw a ball, and she took off. And there was not a dry eye between my husband and me and my 4 children. We just wept to see Buttercup so happy and running again. So I'm hoping Boots will kind of take to it as well.
Oh my goodness. What a brave little baby. And what a brave mommy. Kudos. I have an incredible respect for you, for your family, for doing this and stepping forward and actually caring to do that, because there's that whole emotional process.
And you don't know anytime you have a pet, but especially with a special needs pet and the extra work and all of that go on and on and on, and to just take
emotional
and to take that on, and for as you said, Laura, the family he was born into, to make that decision to say, okay, we will find him a loving home, rather than any one of the other
alternatives.
Those
which may remain unnamed.
Right. And that whole thoughtfulness behind it.
Yeah. I'm super touched. I'm so glad that you came on today to tell us about this.
Well, I'm so glad being able to talk about caring for a special needs animal is very, very near and dear to us right now. I mean, we just seeing this whole other side, it's so easy to give up on people and on animals, but, and in all fairness, sometimes people are faced with challenging, like if your pup has a rupture and you can't afford the surgery, or you're unable to express. There are different avenues that you can go down. Putting a dog down doesn't have to happen. There are rescue organizations that can take on special needs animals. So I'm just so thankful we were able to take the route that we did, but that's not always an option for every owner. So if one of your viewers finds himself in that situation, find an organization that can help you out with that.
Yeah, that's been, we occasionally will contribute to Bandits Band-Aid.
Okay.
And for those listening and watching, that's an organization that helps pet owners with vet bills. It's been a tough season with all the job losses and everything going on, and people are finding themselves in situations that they weren't in before.
Exactly.
But the special needs, we also are friends with the Shade Out DM community. I'm wearing my Shade Out DM shirt today.
And my
Shade
Out
DM
pin.
Yeah, we have our pins. I have Penny and you have Casey. And Casey was a DM baby, and Tawny, Casey's mom, tells us a very touching story about, at the time, nobody knew about DM. I think she went to several different vets, them trying to find out. So that's very touching to our hearts, having special needs. And I don't know, having aging rescues like I do, I don't know what I'm in for. I'm starting to have what the vet calls old lady problems out of Booger, my girl. Has to do with arthritis and just general not feeling great, just having but she was in a very terrible situation, so she didn't get an easy start to life the first couple years, and so now some of those, she's been in my care for the last 6 years, But before that, some of that damage just doesn't get undone. Sometimes it rears its ugly head later in life.
It gets compounded like any
Yeah.
human. It definitely gets compounded, and we're all kind of getting old, so
Yeah.
we're all feeling it. Absolutely.
I'm not getting old. I'm fighting it all the way to the grave.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
one thing that we Buttercup does, so we can't do hydrotherapy anymore because that being in the water can cause UTIs for her. But we do acupuncture once a month.
Wow.
And it has really been wonderful. She's not in pain, but there's always the potential as she ages. So just the acupuncture just helps her with her blood flow and helping with pain. Could you get
the wiggly corgi baby?
The wiggly baby. So I would encourage folks, if it's an option, to look into acupuncture.
Yes.
That helps with aging and arthritis and different pain management and whatnot.
We'll probably be trying that with Booger. We're trying some various things. I try to go holistically if I can, just because as long as I don't have to have her on medication, I think it's better for her. But we haven't tried the acupuncture, so I'm glad to hear you talk about that, because I'm curious as to how certain dogs respond to that. If the reviews seem good, and so you're saying Buttercup responds well.
She loves it. We call it her spa day. She actually sometimes will start falling asleep in the middle of acupuncture because it's so relaxing for her.
It's like, this is so nice.
So nice.
That's so cute. So, and you have 4 other human children as well?
I do, all teenagers. One in college, 2 in high school, and 1 in middle school. And they all help care for all 4 dogs, which is wonderful.
Yes.
That's so precious. And I love that you've raised your children caring for animals, caring for those that rely on us. I think that's an amazing thing to grow up with.
Oh,
absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
So what would you say your favorite thing is about life with corgis? And I asked this specifically to you because I feel like us in the corgi community, there's something special about the breed. When we have them, we always have them. Very rarely do I meet somebody who said, yeah, I had a corgi once. It happens occasionally, but usually it's like, yeah, I had a corgi once, and then I got more, and I kept getting them, and I've always had them. And so I would consider you in that camp. So what would you say your favorite thing is about life with corgis?
You are never alone. Like corgis
privacy is a thing of the past.
There no such thing. We are herded everywhere by at least.
Yes.
So we have a 3-story home, and so Peanut and Reese. So Peanut's almost 8, Reese is 4. So it went Peanut first, then Buttercup, then Reese, and then Boots. And if you put it all together, the older 3 are Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, like the candy.
Yeah. Cute.
But and Boots already had his name, so we kept it Boots. It's appropriate. He's from Texas, so I love that he's Boots from Texas. Anyway, and he scoots, so he's Boots scooting.
Boots scooting.
But but our favorite thing about corgis is that they're so loyal. They're talkative. They're just a sweet breed, and they have their own little personalities. They're not. They can be stubborn, as you know. They're not the easiest breed. They're not
stubborn. No.
What? Shocking. And I often get asked, are they good with kids? And just like any dog breed, there are pros and cons. We definitely have to get the herding situation under control when they're puppies and the nipping at heels. But otherwise, we just love the breed so much.
We actually have a guest coming up shortly who is she has 2 corgis, and she just brought home a baby last year, and her first baby, and she actually has another one on the way. So I'm looking forward to hearing that as well. I love that you mentioned that. I wanted to bring that up because we're going to do a segment on bringing home baby with corgis, because that seems to be a question that we get a lot. Is, I'm bringing home a baby. What are the tips? What are the things I should look for? We know not to leave the dog alone with the baby, things like that. And I've only ever had corgis. I don't have human babies, so I have to get with experts.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's true of all dogs and babies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
you have animals and children who can both don't know how to communicate well sometimes, and you just have to be careful, you know.
Exactly.
And fortunately, having older children has been very beneficial, especially when having a multi-dog household. And yeah, they help with the training and all the tasks and whatnot.
Having to learn to be part of the pack. They all have to
Yes.
learn to be part
That's
of
right.
the pack.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
right. That's
I had to
exactly
learn
right.
to be part of the pack. It's a one dog pack, but I had to learn.
Sometimes.
Still a pack. It's still
Sometimes
you
you're-
guys.
Yeah, but sometimes you're over and Digby's over, and we're all part of a big giant pack,
Pack, yes.
of trip hazards.
Yes.
Yeah. And corgi hair. And we're
And corgi
all
hair, yes.
wearing the same fashion. Yes.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
tell everybody, don't wear black when you come over. But of course, Chucky's a tricolor, so
Doesn't
can't wear
matter.
a white when you come over.
over.
You have black fur on you too.
No
Yep.
matter what you wear, it's coming at you. When there are potlucks that we go to, you know, before COVID, when we'd be invited to a potluck, I always pick up food from the store as my contribution, because nobody wants a corgi hair at a potluck.
No, this is true.
Look, like my friends joke, like, is it because you don't like to cook? No, it's because I have dogs that shed
Yep.
a lot. You don't want that little surprise in there. They're like, oh,
Yep.
good
It's
point.
not that you don't like to cook; it's just that you're sure that your audience won't enjoy the
added benefits.
the
That's
added
right.
ingredient that
Yes.
we're pretty sure we all ingest a lot of.
A lot of
So much.
of it.
So much.
So much.
So one last question, Laura,
Yes.
and we won't keep you too much longer because you are a very busy lady. But being a multiple corgi mom like me, what advice would you give our audience, people that are listening or watching that want a corgi, that are wanting to add a corgi to their lives? Do you have any advice?
So, like adding just one corgi or having multiple corgis, or just?
I'm thinking about the people, because I get the question a lot. Hey, I want a corgi. What can you tell me? And I tell them kind of what we've talked about today.
Right.
They're opinionated. They do like to talk. They are headstrong. They are stubborn. They shed a lot.
Yeah.
And then of course there are all the wonderful things, which is why we have so many.
Yes.
So I'm saying, for someone who decides that they want a dog and they decide they're going to get a corgi, so their first corgi.
I would say, don't expect that corgi to be a couch potato. Expect that the corgi needs exercise. We do not walk our corgis every day, but we do play fetch in the backyard a lot.
They need a job.
They need a job. They need something to do. Our 4-year-old corgi, so Peanut, being almost 8, is a very relaxed little guy. He's happy to stay with us, just hang out, play ball every once in a while in the backyard. He's cool. Buttercup, again, playing in the backyard. Reese, our 4-year-old, is very, very smart, and he was getting bored, and he became very restless. And so now, with some added training and some added socialization, he actually goes to daycare 2 or 3 times a week, and that's his job, and he loves to do that. We just started that, and working with our trainer for him, she's like, he needs something to do. He's doesn't want to play fetch in the backyard. He just doesn't want to play fetch. He gets bored with walks. He needed more stimulation. So if you decide the corgi is the breed for you, know that you could get, there's a wide spectrum, that's with any breed, but there's a wide spectrum of, you could have a totally chill corgi, or you might have a corgi who really, really needs a lot of mental stimulation.
Yep.
And that's Reese. And he has become more relaxed. We just started doing this with him within the past 2 months. He was in training for a month and he came home. And he now knows that we are the pack leaders. He does not have to be the leader of the pack. He thought he had to be the leader. He does not. And now that he goes to daycare and he's around a lot of different dogs, he's learned to speak dog. So can somebody get her off the sofa so she just... So getting a corgi means you could get a very strong-willed little corgi, or you might get a very chill corgi. But just go into it knowing that um, they're a big commitment. They're a very big commitment. I don't know how else to explain it. Like
No,
they made, I don't know. Have you found that with any of your corgis? That have you ever had any that were really needing something to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Chuckles here. Chuckles is he's pretty well trained in that he needs to, like, he's sitting on my lap because we do the podcast, and so he's the
Yes.
spokescork. So he's used to going places and being places, and sometimes he just needs to be. But it took a lot of work to get him here because he needs a job, and he's always been busy, and he has been the most headstrong out of all of the 6 I've had, where he puts up that little proverbial gesture in our minds of not doing that. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, of course, he's also, that's why I named him Chuckles. He's zany. He's got he's a funny guy, but he's also very precious and very sweet, and he's absolutely wonderful. And I can't imagine life without him. So thank you so much. I think that's wonderful advice. We're going to wrap up here, and we appreciate you so much for your time, Laura. We have, for those listening, if you want to follow the adventures of Buttercup, Reese, and Boots, you can go to Instagram, and it's 3 Crazy Corgis. So 3 Crazy Corgis, now actually 4 in tow. So, and for those watching, we have a banner, and you can actually see Instagram.com/3 Crazy Corgis. So, Laura, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again. We'll have you back on when Boots gets accustomed to his new little vehicle.
That's going to be so much fun to watch. Yeah.
It is. Can't wait. Well,
thank you so much.
Give everybody head scratches for us.
Yes.
I will. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Well, that was just super cute.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Boots.
2 special needs. That's wonderful. That is such a giant heart.
It is. What a wonderful lady. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for joining us on this episode. We are here for you on Instagram. We are on Instagram, Corgi Town USA. But we are here for you every Thursday on YouTube for the Corgi Town USA podcast. Find us on YouTube. Find us on Spotify. Find us on Google Podcasts. We're here talking about all things Corgi.
Pretty much.
So Candy, Cat, Digby,
Wiggin today, yes.
And Chuckles. We'll see you next Thursday, Corgi Town USA.
Bye.